Just give us a. Just give us one of that.
Oh, I can do the.
Yeah, there we go. There we go. That's.
I forgot to take any pictures because I'm the worst. But I took a picture of the board. Yay!
Well, you were concentrating on winning, Jay. You got one. You got one over Alex. Ooh, who's the best player now?
I got confused and just went, "Well, I'm just gonna keep winning games and see what happens."
The best player in Australia, baby.
Let's go.
Get better.
Says you. Oh.
G'day,
we'll just
guys.
sit here in silence.
Hell, I'm amazing.
G'day, and welcome back to MGG. I'm Sean, here with Jay, and here with... Who is it? Say
Alex.
The best player in Australia, baby.
Let's go!
Who do you think you are? I am!
He is the best. He is 2 tournaments of completing Australia. Let's go. We're more excited than he is. This is great.
I can't react properly to this.
Just give us a... Just give us one of that.
Oh, I can do the.
Yeah, there we go. There we go. That's going to go at the beginning of the video, and I'll slice in some words that say, I'm the best player in Australia. All right, we're here.
Yeah.
I should have worn the best player in Australia shirt.
I purposely didn't wear it. I took it up and I didn't end up wearing it other than sleeping.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Anyway, we're here, as you can see, to talk about how to win Australia's biggest and most competitive tournament. I don't think it was as big as Clash this year, but it is arguably...
basically, yeah.
Basically?
Same.
But arguably what is considered the most competitive tournament. And if you're trying to win one tournament to show that you are the best of the best here in Australia, you go for Masters. So let's dive into your games, baby.
Let's go through, but first, get in there.
Get in the comments.
Like, subscribe, comment, ring the ding ding bell.
My ding-a-ling.
Mate,
Oh,
Alex is ding-a-ling.
Yeah, Alex is
best penis in Australia.
best YouTuber in Australia. Right there, boys. Right there.
Yeah,
Let us know in the comments below who the best at whatever everything is. It's Alex.
God almighty. We're gonna
This
get
is already degenerate as hell. I'm gonna just keep going. Okay, let's get into the normal stuff.
Let's do it. Let's do it. So this
Awesome.
is
Yeah.
the scenarios that we got at Clash. Sorry, not Clash, at Masters.
Mhm.
And how the scoring goes. So Alex, you were there and you read the players pack, so you'll understand them also. Let's go over them.
Yep. So really quickly, obviously the scenarios, we should all know the scenarios. So this is one from every pool. So we had a nice range, and I think overall the scenarios chosen were pretty much my favorite ones from each one.
Yeah.
Would have loved the breakthrough, but capturing control is pretty good as well. They're all pretty good. And then the point scoring. So the one thing that did confuse me during the day is I thought it was purely based on these scoring, but if you won all your games and no one else did, you won no matter what.
Oh.
It was based on it. So if this was almost a tiebreaker to a degree, or at least
Yeah.
the winner was determined. At least the winner was determined by if you went 6-0 and no one else did.
Right.
That was it.
Gotcha.
Maybe the players pack.
I don't disagree with that because it feels like, so Sean, this is a situation where you and I last year at one of the events up here in Queensland where it was a case of I won all my events, but Sean won the trophy because
That's right.
he scored more points. Although Sean might have lost a game or drew.
No. I drew a game and major won the rest of my games.
There you go. So I had not drawn or lost any games, but I won all my games. And it was a case of, I don't know. It's just you got to read the players pack.
Read the players pack.
Well, we went for the gentleman's agreement where I handed you the first place, you handed me the second place, and I'm very happy with walking away with that. So look at that.
But yeah, essentially, I got to the point on day 2 that I got confused and just went, well, I'm just going to keep winning games and see what happens. But that's getting ahead of myself. Let's go into the list building portion. This is probably one of my favorite portions of the hobby, looking at what do we look at in terms of list building and things. So, a couple things that and hopefully you guys at home start looking at is what list should I be bringing? What should I be caring about when making the list? Number one thing, scenarios. Sean,
Yeah, I was going to say, just real quickly, the
Yeah.
scenarios were pre-selected,
Yes.
weren't they?
Yes, which personally, I will say, I wasn't a fan of. Because it allows you to do this sort of thing with more accuracy and you get lists that are skewed towards doing well in those scenarios.
I think Alex made a really good point a little while ago on this. I'm of two mindsets with this. I like all three. I like rolling veto. I like rolling for a single mission that you don't know what it could be. So you can play Reconnoiter, you can play Storm the Camp, you can play all those ones that you don't really you veto out all the time. And I actually like having the pool of this is a set mission a structure that we're going to go with. And I do agree the fact that this is a Masters. This is where people are going for a competitive edge on another. I don't hate that it is a set mission. Over at the GBHL, they actually voted for the missions to be played, and then they built to that. Because realistically, Masters is a bit different in the sense of it's not like the Queensland GT that's coming up very soon. That's it's a GT, it's a grand tournament, right? It's a Queensland 120 point event. You want to go, but it's also it's not a Masters event. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Different tournaments in my mind. So the fact that this is these are the missions you're playing, list building and the time put into list building is definitely a factor. I think that comes into it. But I can definitely see where and how it would kind of skew to favor other people who have more access to models and more time. Would you agree, Alex?
Yep, that's totally fair. The one, obviously, considering it is a Masters event, I 100% agree. My main thing comes for people who may be newer to the hobby or just don't have access to the funds to have multiple armies to fit those parameters. So I want, not that obviously if you bring an army, you'll have, sometimes you just have better scenarios for your army. But I think people shouldn't be at an inherent disadvantage because they can't get their hands on certain armies. But then again, I guess that's always the case. If you can buy a full Arnold army, it's probably better than having some other armies that aren't as good, that are more widely available.
And look, as Jay mentioned there, this Masters is catered towards those competitive players, whereas the Queensland GT, although it is considered a competitive event, does cater towards those newer players as well. So again, I fully agree that this is where you want scenarios to be pre-selected so that those competitive players can really dive in deep and really figure out the nitty-gritties of their list. Personally, I like random scenarios even over veto. I just want to show up to the table and see what the scenario is and then go from there. But I think, yeah, spot on with this. And then it gives people like you, Alex, the time to do this and then show us how your brain functions. So let's keep going with it.
Yeah, awesome. So obviously, feel free to also pause this and both go look back at the scenarios we just mentioned, as well go back to our army reviews videos and check out the armies, and you can kind of see there's a decent amount of shooting armies and armies with a good number of models. And it pretty much goes along what I thought as well. So the objectives, you need a decent amount of models at 550 points, which is what the tournament's at. The average is about 27.5 if you go for about 5 per 100 points. So I was kind of like, I need to hit at least 30 models with whatever army I bring. As well as a lot of the objective missions, you either need good numbers like command the battlefield, or they end on break, and therefore you need models there when the game is breaking to sit on objectives. So I needed models. There are 3 missions where you start 24 inches away from each other. Therefore, you either need shooting to make them come to you, or you have something that makes their shooting negligible, like blinding light or Pall of Darkness from the Shadow Lord, or the shade from the new shade from Angmar, to make them disincentivized from sitting back and shooting, as well as having a banner. There were 2 scenarios that you need a banner. Bring a banner.
That you've mentioned the breakpoint thing as well.
Yeah.
It's this, in my mind, leans towards an evil meta because evil could shoot into combat. and potentially kill themselves quicker.
True. Wouldn't have considered that, but I also do agree because obviously good armies generally have better courage. They go better into the late game. So missions that could potentially end sooner with more enemy models on the board, yeah, potentially having kind of that spam army could work better for them for sure.
Yeah, that's a good little insight there, Jay.
That's a
You got
good
one
Jay.
over Alex. Ooh, who's the best player now?
Oh, I got him. And the main thing I was concerned about was three specific armies or three. Yeah, I'm just gonna ignore you, John. I'm just gonna keep going. Insightful insight having. Jeez, I'm tired. There were three armies I was expecting to have to deal with, and knowing I need to be able to deal with these because if they show up and I can't, it's gonna be really tough. So the first one was Helm, who actually didn't appear at all, which is I find astounding.
Yeah.
Because at 550, he just wrecks shit.
Yeah,
but my
it's a very
plan
good
was
spot
I
for
need
him.
to be able to deal with big heroes like Helm that just rock your world, as well as crack through defense 6, which is Royal Guard. The other ones were Angmar, just needing to be able to charge Terror and be happy if my heroes are transfixed every turn. Can I deal with that? And also, Arnor just came out as well. If I can't wound defense 6 models, it's gonna suck. So I kind of culminated that into like a list of things I need to be able to do, and I tried out. I kind of hypothesized some lists, and I decided on one. And it is, wow, that is so grainy. That is so horrendous. I apologize. That is so bad. Was a Corsair and Harad alliance with a lot of crossbows, Reavers, Suladan allied in. And if you go and compare those kind of things I was aiming to do, so having anti-terror, dealing with the big heroes, getting to strength 4, lots of models, a banner, I think I managed to hit all those.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts, guys?
I love the classic Black Numenorians in an Alex list. I do love that, as well as Chikisuladan. That's quite nice.
I'm
no,
not
I think
massive Black Knight user.
just talking shit.
Just a little sprinkle.
Just like 2 or 3 in every list that I can take them in. No, I think you're spot on. I think you've hit those spots really well. Damage output with the Reavers is huge. Arbalistas for shooting, and then also you can't forget just throwing weapons as well with Corsairs. And again, as Jay mentioned, you didn't think of this, Alex, because Jay is the best player in Australia now. You can kill your own models quite easily with those throwing weapons walking into combat if you need to break yourself for whatever reason. So there's also that, which is very, very nice.
Yep, 100%. And honestly, it just kind of seemed to hit all the things. The main thing I was concerned about is there is not a single shield. Mm-hmm. So I am on every single Reaver, Arbalester, Spearman, whatever. I'm defense 3.
Yeah. So you're hot rolling at that point.
I'm just going for pure dice. Reavers on 2 attacks with a spear support behind and a banner. I'm just hoping to throw as many dice as possible and hope that's good enough.
Yeah. This does really well at just playing SBG at lower points. Full stop. You've got great shooting, you've got great combat, and it's reliable in the sense of it's so many dice that you have tried to stack in your favor in so many situations that will favor you. Meaning, 24 inches away. How many crossbows do you have again?
I have 11 crossbows and 3 bows.
So you've got a heap of shooting, and over 80% of your shooting is strength 4 shooting. Terrifying. And then what happens is as you're jumping in and you're playing, you don't care about a D6 line. You've got over the cap. You're at 34 models. We wanted a minimum of 28. So if you lose a couple to throwing weapons here and there, you do the classic Corsair thing where you just throw a model in, throwing weapon the hell out of it, and all of a sudden their Boromir or Aragorn can't do anything. So you've managed to taper off all the Gulabars and all the Helm Hammerhands. You just have to play your ass off with this list. Corsair is not a list you can just pick up and run with. It's a list that you really need to think about. How much control can I have over this game in both their turn and my turn?
Yeah, and I found that I've realized I like lists that are deceiving in terms of how they do damage. Same with like my pure Harad is it looks and if you let them do it, they'll shoot you to shit. But when you get there, they are just as devastating in combat. And I feel like it's really deceiving, but they'll do it. Yeah, you're right. It's really hard to pick up Corsairs. There's so many little tricks you need to do. Reavers, the amount of finagling I had to do to make sure Reavers charge to where I wanted, because obviously they have, if they go crazy, they must charge the nearest enemy model. So I'm trying to like make sure they don't charge the nearest model and go for someone else, and that was a whole experience on itself. But I was bidden to show you guys. Tyler especially was saying I should show. This was my kind of half an hour, 45 minutes of prep I did for the scenarios. Don't do this. It's cringe. I'm just going to say it ahead of time.
Do it. Do it more often. Oh my god. He's got the green, blue, yellows, oranges, and reds out. Let's go.
So this is somewhat similar to stuff we did for Articon, which is like that's a there's not. It was more so. This isn't something I will say. This isn't something I checked during the tournament whatsoever. This is something I got onto there just so I made myself think about, okay, well, what's a weakness into the death? Just so I went through my brain at least once and I considered it. Going, I probably shouldn't let Suladan die and destroy the Splicer to the death. Yeah.
See,
I thought I'd put it out there so people can have a look at what they think is interesting.
I think these kind of lists are Batman style. That's hot. I think these kind of lists are brilliant, but as Alex has said, he didn't look at it during the games or at the tournament, which I think is the right move, because if you take these and you look at them before each game, it's just going to be stuck in your head. This is how I play the game. This is how I play the game. And it almost doesn't leave room for adaptability to how the game is played. Whereas if you have these in your mind pre-tournament, you go, cool, I've written this, I've got an idea, and some bits are going to stick in my head, some bits aren't. It allows for that flexibility in game, and you're not going to lock yourself down into going, set up kill boxes behind to throw into. Sometimes you're not going to do that in that scenario or whatever.
Yep.
So I think that's good that you weren't looking at it.
Yeah, and other than the kind of blinding light thing at the bottom, I haven't mentioned enemy armies whatsoever. So once I get to the table, I need to react to, are we in round 5 and this person's going really well? What army have they brought? I need to be able to react on the time. These are just opening thoughts, realistically. Yep. And I don't want people to get too stuck into this, but it's just an interesting thought exercise, really.
Tune in for a later video when we really deep dive into this.
Oh, hell yeah. But let's get into it. Round 1, I'm keen. It's capturing control, and I'm about to face my favorite army, Arnor. So we start up. This is, and you'll be able to tell, I'm horrific at remembering to take photos. This is also, a PTSD board for me, because this is where I faced Thomas Bombadillas. But this is a shot very late in the game, unfortunately, against I think it was a decently new-ish player, but essentially went into it with Malbeth, Avadui, and Argadir. With I think it was this one had 6 cav. This was like a beefy cav option, which was that sounds about right. So pretty stacked, and I went, that's gonna be tough. I can't just sit back and shoot because they have a good amount of models and everything. The main thing was Argadir deployed right on the left flank, kind of behind this big building where the cav currently are, and turn 1 they marched behind that building to kind of go on an extended flank, and I went, okay, I have time to just gun forward, hit the line and they only have 4 might there, and obviously 3 of it's on Avadui, and see how much damage I can do before the cav comes in behind. And so I did that. The beauty of it, though, is part of the line down kind of near the pier overextended slightly. And it was kind of, I think it was about 6 warriors with Avadui in the banner behind. And I had 6 Reavers with 3 spearmen behind them, and I went, okay, and shoved them all in. Yeah. And I think the first turn they killed 4 of the warriors, and I went, that's pretty good. Malbeth saves were rolling pretty dog shit, except for on heroes. Because on the heroes, I think I threw every throwing weapon at Malbeth the first turn. I got 3 wounds on him through cover, through like 2 lines of dudes. He passed 2 of the Malbeth saves and then got a fate roll on the last one. And I went,
Cheeky.
that's a bit rude.
That hurts. Yeah.
And then I went, well, I need you to lose might in your main force, because as soon as you lose might, I keep charging. My Reavers keep getting +1 to wound, and that's how I need to break down your force. So Suladan opens up a gap and goes straight into Arvidui, and we just start striking off against each other, which is my dream. I'm happy to do that. First time he gets to fight 10, he kills, I think, 2 of the Reavers facing him, and then goes for Suladan's horse, doesn't get the horse, and I'm like, that's cool. Oh no, maybe even wounded Suladan. It was something like that. He was good. I then go in again. He had to spend a might to heroic move, so he's down to 1 might. And I go, do you want to strike or do you want to try and keep it to win the fight? And he goes, I think he may have ended up striking. He failed that time. I got to fight 10. 2 Reavers and a Suladan. Arvidui go bye-bye.
Arvidui, see you later, son. 6 feet under.
And by the time Argadir and his knights get around, you can see where they've hit there. And I've just kind of left this little skirmishing force back there to hold them up. I think Sordon even went back and he suicided himself on Argadir just to hold him up and make sure he didn't get on any objectives at that point. But at that point, I just had so many models and I destroyed so much of the middle that I was able to spread out, get on the objectives, and took out a 12-0 win to start off the day.
Let's go.
Hats off to my opponent. I was very scared of Arnold going into it, but I think that Cav just took far too long to get much use out of it. I think Argadir ended the game with two might still.
Oh wow.
Which is just unfortunate. It was just kind of the sequence of priorities meant he just couldn't get enough out. There were turns he could have caught a heroic combat, would have hit just one more dude, and it was just a bit awkward for him in the end. Round 2 against Fog of War against the host of the Wishing Legendary Legion. And first off, look at this board.
Huge, man.
Sexy.
Insane.
What a
Orfang.
looking Iron Guard.
It's beautiful.
It was just a genuine pleasure to play on. It's very big, and honestly, my favorite bits are actually the little like works and things around the board. But that was just great.
I was gonna say the hamster wheel. I'm loving the hamster wheel.
Yeah, you know, some orcs running in there, just keeping the power on. But this was a Witch King in the Legion, obviously, with a Barrow White and Captain. I think it was 41 orcs.
Okay,
which is a lot of boys, with a couple of Bog Riders and 3 Spectres. We go into it, and he kind of deploys directly opposite me, which I was very happy with. I was kind of like, if he deploys on the other side of Orthanc, I'd get like no shots. He double marches up the board and kind of sits on an objective. So I got plenty of time to take shots, and he was spectering my models towards him to hopefully jump on and kill. The issue is they got spectered out in front of his force. I would then go to the shooting phase. That person would throw a dagger, kill someone. I would then like win priority, go, well, he's already up there. Would charge in, kill another dude with a throwing weapon, and then I'll just hold them up for a turn with fight 4. Which is infuriating, obviously.
Yeah.
And those extra turns it bought me meant I racked up a good, like at least 6 to 7 kills minimum. I think it might have even been up to 8.
wow.
Which is massive, because then we even up the numbers for the most part. And I'm sitting there going, I'm fight 4. I'm in between this choke point of the smoke, the barrels, and Orthanc. I'll happily fight here. This is sick. And the Wishing doesn't really do much fighting whatsoever. The Barrow White comes up and throws it on Suladan, and he gets dismounted early and paralyzed. And I'm sitting there just standing around him, picking him up. I get to a point where I have 6 models just around him, purely there to make him stand up every turn, because he's just having a rough one. But I'm pissing myself because I have a Suladan that's been sap-willed twice, lost all his will. He's been paralyzed multiple times. The bosun got black darted near the end, took a wound after not resisting, not passing my fate. I'm going, I have actually got to the point, I have no idea what he's trying to target. But all I know is I'm scared either way. I was trying to go for his captain, just waiting for him to overextend, and he never did. And I'm sitting there like, this is going to be rough. Until the fucking Reavers hit. And like they just start absolutely smashing face. Going in and going, 4's to wound. And I 4 dice to win the combat on fight 4, and I just bang, 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 bang.
Oh.
And within, I think, maybe 2 to 3 turns, the orcs disappear. It was
Jesus
horrific.
Christ.
My Black Numenorian on the flank next to Orthanc, absolute Chad, just stands there. They either don't charge him or he then charges into one dude and wins the fight and kills a dude. Absolute, just amazing. And the main thing is, I get to a point where he's trying to make a play for his objective, and I realize it's this hamster wheel next to the number 4. Is the Witch King swings over, the captain swings over, everyone starts swinging through. Dalamir just cuts through his line, and the Witch King goes, I should probably get rid of Dalamir before he just keeps killing my stuff. Goes into Dalamir, he kills him. I draw a point out of the Witch King, just trying to annoy him. He eventually ends up on his objective. I have him surrounded. I don't manage to get on my objective, but the captain gets charged by 2 Reavers. Captain doesn't roll a 6. I roll a 6. I wound on 3s because he's trapped, and I pierced. Yeah. Chop, got my target, who he was protecting as well.
Oh!
And it was a 9-1 win in the end because I was not broken. And my target was still my protect was still alive, which was Solodan. He was trying to go for the Solodan that was unwounded as well. And yeah, pretty tough, to be honest, facing 5-3 armies. And again, like, if I didn't have those Reavers to charge terrifying models, it would have been really rough. If I had heroes that needed to kill stuff and they were transfixed and paralyzed, I wouldn't have been able to win this. But the Warriors just did absolute work, and that's what they're there for. Round 3, I don't have any pictures because I'm an idiot, but I face another Angmar, and it is Gulliver with the Dwimmerlake, which I found very interesting as a lover of the Dwimmerlake. But 3 might, but he's obviously the idea, I think, is the Gulliver goes into someone, the Dwimmerlake stands nearby and goes, if you want to strike, you're going to spend at least 2 might.
Yeah. As soon as you can't spend that 2 might, you're not striking. You've got 1 turn of striking essentially against him.
Exactly, yeah. Which is not what you want to have against Gulliver.
No.
We deploy on very different sides of the board. I think I spend 1 might with Dalamir to go down to a 1, but then he appears next to the rest of the army anyway the next turn. So we're basically just a normal pitched battle in command of the battlefield, which is totally fine. The mistake happened from my opponent when he got priority.
Well, this is the game.
Oh yeah. He got priority. Nothing could charge from him, so his orcs just moved up. He had a Spectre pull a dude out. Gulliver and 1 Wild Rider jump into him. Right in front of my whole lines. And I'm sitting there going, the Dwimmerlake's within 6 inches, so if I go in and strike, I could potentially lose all my might. You know what? I'm Corsairs. I'm standing still with everything. Yes. So then there are 11 crossbow shots, 3 bow shots, and 11 throwing weapons that go, yeah. I don't even think I get to my throwing weapons before Gulliver is dead. It was pretty bad. And you know what the worst bit is? He charged into 2. Gulliver charged into 2 models, so I needed to kill 2 to stop him. I only killed 1 of my own models.
That's so shit.
To Alex's opponent, my condolences.
He brought Gulliver.
Yeah, fair enough.
Play around it. No, but 100%. Like, it's the one thing you don't like. Corsairs are just a horrific matchup for Gulliver because they have so much interactions and way to stop you doing what you need to with him. If he survived, you still only got 1 attack or 2 attacks, depending how many wounds he has left, and that's just a scary prospect in itself.
Yeah.
So as soon as he went down, it was the Dwimmerlake, who obviously has 0 might with maybe 20-ish other orcs and some wild riders. And at that point, it kind of became a clean-up mission, to be honest. There were some orcs it was only 1 Spectre, so there's not a lot of control to mess me up. There's some orcs scattered around. Solodan just goes, I'm going to march. And he took his Haradrim Raiders, and they just went around the board, kind of cleaning up single orcs around the board. Grabbed all 4 corners. Didn't end up getting the Dwimmerlake. Solodan went into him on the last turn, couldn't do a wound. But I think that was a 10-0 because I didn't get the leader.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Honestly, yes, yeah, that Gulliver going down just sets the tone for the rest of the game.
That's the thing. I love Gulliver, and something I've said for years is Gulliver is a scalpel. He looks like he's a hammer where you throw him in, but the dude is a scalpel. You need to be precise with everything that you do with him. any list that Gullivar's in that I've gone up against, I know that if I can take Gullivar out early, the rest of the game is just as you said, it's just mopping up. It's going cool. Cool, he's probably got the Witch King. All right, cool. I can deal with the Witch King with 1 or 2 guys and he stops my heroes. That's fine. 200 points of your army is gone, and what do you have left? Orcs.
Yep.
Cool. So yeah, I think once Gullivar's gone, it's almost game.
Yep.
Yep. And especially since like the orcs are supposed to last a long time because of the terror, and then they get hit by some angry pirates and they just disappear. Again, they just disappear and you wrap into the back of them and it's like, okay, I went from 5 to win from strength 3 with +1 for charging, +1 for trapping. You're dead. Yeah, and that unfortunately that's kind of the name of the game. As soon as he went in that deep, it was just there was no magic support. There was a transfix on Dalamir, so it meant he didn't throw his dagger. And I was like, yep, that's
it's
cool.
just consolation magic at that point, really trying to
Yeah, exactly. And it was just a bit there was actually I will say there was one actual thing that did scare me. Dalamir copped a compel later in the game, and I had forced a gap in the side of his line because I was just playing to wrap behind. And I went, it means Dalamir's going to go behind his lines and get compelled back there, which would have been scary. He rolls the 6. I spend 2 will. He tries to double them, doesn't get it. I roll a 5 high, go to spend the might, doesn't double it from the Dwindle Lake, luckily. So I end up resisting it. But if I lost that, I'd probably lose Dalamir.
Yeah.
Which would have been, for points, interesting, but I don't think it would have brought him back. But that was definitely scary for sure.
It's bringing back the VPs for him. Yeah. VP mitigation, essentially that. So.
Yep, 100%.
Cool. Round 4.
And we were into divide and conquer, and I forgot to take any pictures because I'm the worst. But I took a picture of the board. Yay!
Well, you were concentrating on winning. You were concentrating on the tournament.
That's a great point, Sean.
Right? You just come off 3 wins. White line fever setting in, and you're going best player in Australia. Just got to win some more games.
I wasn't thinking that, but sure, why not? But this is obviously divide and conquer against a very scary mortal force of the Witch King, an Orc Captain, and I cut it off. That's really funny.
Oh no,
Shelob.
This is the Shelob list that we were talking about.
This is the Shelob list.
Well, you guys are talking
and
about.
An Orc Drummer also hidden in there. So I'm sitting there going, it's a fast-moving list. It's going to get to somewhere and probably kill whatever it finds.
Yeah.
What I expected was the Witch King and the Orc Captain to go together. They drum march and they just go hit one of my corners. And I had Saladin all by himself, and I thought that he would probably be the target. And Shelob runs around wherever. Shelob got deployed with the Witch King, which meant we had an Orc Captain by his lonesome.
Yeah.
And the Witch King and Shelob just kind of headed for the middle and didn't try and gank any of my corners. And I went,
perfect, exactly what you want.
And
gives
so
you time
I went,
to fuck
you know
around.
what? The Witch King, my Saladin has one job, and it's to delay this Orc Captain and 10 Orcs. And that he did. Saladin gets charged. No, Saladin doesn't get charged. One of my raider gets charged by the Orc Captain. My other raider gets compelled into 2 more Orcs. Saladin goes, I'm just going to hit 2 more Orcs myself. Hits him. Hero combats back into the Orc Captain. Kills him. And then my two Harad raiders die. I'm going, cool. I'm Saladin
done the job.
Saladin and 1 spear against the other 8 orcs. Yeah. And I'm like, that's a bit rough. Saladin wins it all. He spends all 3 might to do it. He clears them all. And I'm going, this man has just won me a side objective. And meanwhile, the Witch King and Shelob went, I'd like to go kill Saladin. There are also 30 Corsairs coming from the other direction heading for the middle objective.
Yeah.
And went, I probably got to deal with that. So Witch King compels out a dude. Shelob goes into it right in front of my line. Oh, Jay's back.
You just missed out, Jay. Saladin just killing an entire flank on his own.
Yeah, so that loses his 2 raiders, and then him and the 1 spearman kill the rest of the Orc Captain and the 4 warband.
Damn.
But yeah, so Witch King and Shelob still chilling together. Compels out a dude from the front of my line. Shelob goes in, and I'm like, shit. Obviously, I move up, throw daggers, kill my own dude, do 1 wound to Shelob, and I'm like, that's pretty
Ooh,
good. He
That's
then rolls a 3 on his courage test and has to spend 3 will, and I'm like, interesting. 3 will left, huh? So his Shelob is obviously scared, climbs over the Osgiliath ruins, charges a random arbalist around the corner. I'm like, okay, I'll deal with him later. That's fine. The rest of his orcs move up within 2 inches of my line, and they're just there to block off the middle. They're in front of the objective. If they hold that spot, they're winning.
They're fine. Yeah.
Dalamir, 4 Reavers, bang, kills all 6 dudes they hit.
Oh, shit.
And again, I'm sitting there going, you had 3 dice to win the fight. I have 4 dice with the 4 dice. We're only on 4s.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Yep.
And orcs don't, and in Morannons I don't care if you're a Morannon because I pierce up to strength 4. The axes on the Reavers were the best 6 points I've ever spent.
Oh, God.
Bloody hope they would be.
Yep, against the Arnor and against these guys, absolutely slam. And as soon as that happened, again, the Orc Captain Warband is dead or dying to Soladan. And then I've just killed essentially the front 5 Morannons.
Yep.
What's left? We have a Shelob, a Witch King, and a couple Orcs.
Yep.
Shelob kills or wins the fight against 1 Arbalester, decides to hurl, which would kill 1 more dude. Both of them don't die. And I'm like, that sucks. The Reavers, I then finagle it so my spearmen come out, start charging the orcs. The Reavers go, well, now the closest model I can charge isn't the orcs I was just in front of. It's Shelob through the door that's to our right.
Oh no.
So they, 3 or 4 of them, stream through, hit Shelob. No courage test needed.
Dude.
She has 1 attack. She rolls, I think, a 5. I obviously roll 6 on like 8 dice.
Yep.
I'm not trapping, but still wounding on 5s. I get 2 wounds.
She's
First courage test, double 6s. Damn, that sucks. Next courage test, double 1s, runs.
Oh.
And at that point, I'm going, okay, there's about 5 orcs left and a Witch King.
I think you win this.
It's a bit yuck. Witch King gets caught the next turn off a heroic combat. Oh, heroic move, sorry. Gets hit by a Reaver. He heroic combats to get away. Hits 1 more Reaver. Loses the fight. Loses his horse. And then on the final turn, what would be the final turn on the roll, he's surrounded by 3 Reavers. I'm like, don't roll a 6 and I kill you. Don't roll a 6 and I kill you. Gets the 6, kills the 2 Reavers. Witch King survives. But otherwise, I hit every objective. There's 1 Warg Rider on the side objective who I think killed about 6 Corsairs by himself, which was absolutely crazy. So he held off a point there. But otherwise, I think it was a 9-0. Again, Dalamir goes unwounded. I don't break. And I'm just liking facing 5-3 orcs at this point. And not hitting 5-4 much is really massive. Shelob didn't do jack other than being a massive scare factor, but didn't get to do what she could have done, possibly.
Yeah. I'll be honest, I'm not that scared of Shelob outside of the Kirith Ungol Legion. She just doesn't obviously has that scare factor because if she does pop off, she pops off. But if she doesn't, you're just like
honestly, and I do usually agree. And I didn't care if she's managed to get into a hero, I've mucked up and they're probably dead. Yeah. What I was worried about is I'm a strength 3 army, and if they hurl into my line, I lose a lot of dudes. But luckily, we anchored onto an Osgiliath ruin that she couldn't do that, and just kind of managed to piss her off enough, thankfully. And again, Reaver's doing absolute bits, and that is kind of the name of the game with Corsairs. These guys were phenomenal every time.
Priority number 1 all the time. Kill them first if you can.
Into round 5, and we're getting into
penultimate round.
We're going into destroy supplies against another Arnor Legendary Legion. This one with an extra captain. So its sacrifice model's gone down to, I think it was 29, but has the extra hero, which in this one for the march is fantastic. Argadir has, I think, 4 knights, and they go on the far right flank, and everything. He just double marches turn 1, and I'm like, yeah, fair enough. I didn't have a lot of shots, so I just moved 6 inches up to go ahead of my objectives. Previously, I hadn't been too happy with my Servant Raiders. Fight 3 was actually letting me down a lot against these Fight 3 armies. The bows had done nothing except this one game, and I think this one game paid off. I had one Serpent Raider on the very, very flank watching Argadir, and all 4 knights just marched straight at his face. He stood still. He took one shot. Argadir's horse died. And I went, "You've paid for yourself. You've paid for yourself immediately."
Yeah.
I don't know if I think I obviously shot a bit as they came in. I might have gotten 1 or 2 kills, maybe. They didn't do much. And we've gone for we've both agreed, like, kind of the Argadir and the main force in the middle. That's kind of the strong side of both our forces. The weak side, I had a couple Arbalests and 1 Raider, and he had 2 or 3 Rangers. And I'm kind of like, if that's my opportunity to go up and kind of go up the right side and get an objective, that'll probably be the way to do it. And we get to the fighting, and it is tough both ways. He is killing far faster than I expected. My Reavers are not killing things. Solodan's off on the flank, just trying to get rid of these knights onto my side objective, because if they get through and get behind me, burn a supply, I'm having a rough time. And I realize Dalmir has to do some work. I don't want him to. He has to go in. He goes in, heroic combat, goes backwards, but leaves a gap. I thankfully win the heroic move next turn, and everything just goes through the gap.
Yep.
And I don't care. And he starts to wrap back into them, but I'm like, I don't care. I have priority that turn. I have like 3 or 4 traps. I kill 6 dudes that combat. And as soon as that happens, it's pretty tough. But we go. My Haradrim Raider runs on the other side. Runs an absolute gauntlet. I think takes 7 shots over the time, kind of ducking and weaving between houses. Lands on the objective, burns it, and doesn't die. We had stuff where we had Rangers trying to roll 6s to jump over fences and still shoot on the other side. It was honestly super epic. And then we get to a point where I break him. I manage to. His banner is like maybe a quarter of an inch away from a warrior to pass it off. Doesn't manage to pass it off, dies. So I get the banner VP. Soldan loses his horse, and I just end up backing him up to make sure I don't lose the banner VP. And then we get to the final turn. I've managed to hold him off my objectives. And I go, well, I'm just going to try and kill Arvidui. I don't really have any hero to do it. I guess I'll send some Reavers. Obviously, the Reavers kill him.
Jesus.
And so I believe it's an 8-0 win. I get 1 supply. I have my banner. I killed his leader, and I broke him. Not broken. Didn't take a leader wound. And this was the one where Arnor felt like they were the most Arnor that I had felt. They were passing heaps of saves. I was really struggling to punch through the D6. But overall, I mean, it was just the Argadir on the flank. Even though I had to deal with it, and Solodan spent basically the entire game on the flank, I didn't get any banner support from him the entire time. But the Argadir on the flank meant I could just focus everything else to just fight dudes, and that really helped.
Yep.
And we go into round 6, and I'm 5-0.
Mate, you're feeling pretty.
I'm feeling good, and I know the winner of Michael Kerr and Sam Harbison, who was running Isengard and Pits of Dol Guldur. I'm playing the winner of one of them. I know if I face the eyes. Sorry, go for it.
So I was going to say, are you the only one going 5-0 at the moment?
Yes, the others had a draw.
Ooh,
I believe so. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So
and I went into it going, still, I'm going to play this. I need to play for the win, no matter what. I don't know how the VPs are working. I just got to play it out normally.
Yeah.
And I was sitting there going, to the death, if I face the Isengard, crossbow vs crossbow, I don't know how that's going to go. The Pits win in Destroy the Supplies against them.
So you
and all I hear, he won well. He had a random Hunter Orc one-shot Vrashku, and and just crushed him, and I was shocked. But it means I get to face Pits into the death in the final scenario in an epic game, and I've got actually 2 slides committed to this because it was pretty epic. Hey guys, sorry to interrupt the video there. Just wanted to give a particular shout out to my round 6 opponent, Sam. Not only was he lovely throughout our game, but I'm a massive fan of his. I've read every single blog post he's put up concerning MESBG for as long as I can remember. So if you guys want to check out some awesome analytical content of his games and his thoughts on the game, head over to the Against All Odds blog,
We'll put a link down in the description and send your regards.
Classic pits. It has a Thrain, it has a Hunter or Captain, and Big Daddy Azog. And we're in a dense, direct, deep board. There's not a heap of shooting opportunities. Most of my crossbows actually end up behind a barrel, or the set of crates, so I don't actually get a heap of kills early on. But unfortunately, the pits just have to double march up. If they don't, they just spend too long doing nothing. And they have to do that. They double march up. They lose some Hunter Orcs on the way, but they can't do much about it. Azog ducks behind that building you can see on the left, and I've actually got, just out of camera, there's 3 Arbalesters all by themselves. And they're kind of there as bait, but they're kind of there to just get a clear line of shots. Sam takes it, Azog runs into them, and then this whole flank of Corsairs on that left line fling over into throwing weapon range. I'm like, cool, every shot's going into that. Not even just to stop Azog getting the heroic combat. I'm probably not going to kill both. But if I can just get some early wounds on Azog, just annoy him, won't mind.
Make him play Azog cagey early on. Big.
Yep. I get no wounds on my own dudes. I get 1 wound onto him. He saves it with a fate, I believe. That's it.
Okay.
And I go, heroic combat. He rolls a 4 high, spends 2 might to win, kills 2, goes into a black numb and friend, kills them both. But still, 2 might for 4 models. I'm taking it every day.
Yep.
We go into the next turn, and as you can see on this right picture, this is where he had ended up after the second march. And, I'm just trying to move this too. And he ends up after the second march. He calls the surprise attack. Because if I win priority and get the chance to charge him with all the throwing weapons, it's disastrous. He moves in, and we're into tight combat. Azog hits more stuff, calls another heroic combat, and the pressure's really on. I don't get a heap of counter charges except with Swordan and some Reavers. But again, they start doing work. Azog has to spend, I think, another might to win the fight against more dudes. And kills them, and that's fine. But he's down to 3 might at this point, and he's killed like 7 models, which is not, and he's captain's out of mark, he's had to double march. So I'm just really running the resources dry. And we discussed this because if he didn't surprise attack here, he's stuck between these 2 buildings.
Yep.
Against, again, fight 4, Reavers, with a banner behind, not looking good. So we go into the later stages, and Azog is just trying to chew through. The Hunter Orcs are kind of trying to swing in, the banners right at the back. It's all just absolute chaos. Azog then loses a fight. He has only, I think he had to spend might to call a heroic move, and then rolls low enough, like a 2 or 3 high, that he didn't want to spend his last 2 might. I do, I think, 2 wounds, and he saves 1 with fate, takes a wound on the other, which is just unfortunate. You can't do much. But again, fight 4 just came in so clutch. The amount of fight 3 armies I faced was absolutely just, it made a massive difference. Throwing that many attacks with that high fight, with backstabbers, with +1 to wounds, just crunches through. Swordan gets to a point where nothing's really contesting him. Azog and Dalamir and Azog are miles apart, so I just start calling hero combats and going, I'm going to chew through you really fast, and my 2 heroes hero combating is faster than Azog doing it. And that's what they do. And I get to a point where Azog's just sitting there still trying to grind through random dudes with only 1 might left in the bank, while I'm just starting to climb up. That random base next to Dalamir is the banner, who does survive. But at that point, the defense for Hunter Orcs have just disappeared. So for the most part, I have a bunch of dudes left. And the game ends up with him quartering, and I was, I think, 3 off breaking at that point. But I believe that was a 9-1 because he had the banner left. Yep. But tough game. Azog just didn't pull his weight, really. They had to spend so much might early that he couldn't use it later to get into the back of my lines, get into the bosun, do what he needed to do. And that was just how the chips, like the Hunter Orcs were abysmal at wounding, rolling 3s out the wazoo, which is horrific. You don't need that. When you're already struggling to win fights, you need to kill, and they were not doing it. Yeah. And that was the game in the end.
It feels very hard to kind of, Pits is revolved around Azog needing to pull his weight.
Yeah.
If he does not pull the weight, your fight 3 orcs will do fight 3 orc things. Yes, they kill very well. Yes, the traditional style is they go a hunter orc backed up by a spear. So you're rolling 4 dice to win a combat. This list didn't have that because of the points. And how many points is Azog again? 220?
Yeah, 225-ish, yeah.
It's invested in a 550 point list. He has to do work. He has to do work. And you're not an elite army either. So yeah, I think that unfortunately is just how the cookie crumbles with this one. Hey.
Yeah, 100%. And as soon as we had a great conversation both after the game and even this morning after the tournament, where Azog maybe should have just bum rushed it right down the middle and started threatening Swordan as my banner or my leader. Because as soon as he was kind of in La La Land on my left flank, my heroes went, cool, I'm safe. We swing onto the far other side and just start killing random dudes.
And again, it gives you the time. And I think a lot of the games that we've spoken about, it seems like your opponent has given you that time. So whether it was that first Arnor game where he marched backwards, giving you that time to just come forward and play your game. Azog in this game off into La La Land gives you that time. Shelob running with the Witch King straight to the middle of the game and divide and conquer gives you that time to just play your game. It's almost as if your opponents just weren't giving that pressure that they needed to throw onto you early.
Yeah, and especially if they didn't do it, they realized later that, oh, I've given up space or I've given up this, would try to move forward, and then I go, awesome, every single Reaver now hits you. And those dudes were my MVPs without a doubt. Dalamir did relatively little. He died in one game, but he was fog of war, so I didn't really care. For the most part, he wouldn't go into heroes unless he absolutely needed to. Swordan spent 2 games off in La La Land dealing with Argadir warbands and or Captain warbands, not really contributing much other than holding them up. It was just the troops, just insane. I've never felt that just pure raw killing power.
It's a good feeling.
Totally underrated. Oh, mate, the Reavers were just incredible. One of my favorite troops now, and I did have to do a lot of finagling for every game to kind of like make corridors, like with especially going into Azog. I was going, I just want to put anyone into him right now. Like there was a turn when I just couldn't get a trap, didn't really care about trying to win the fight against him. So I made essentially just a massive cordon around his base with just random dudes. The Reavers went, I can't charge him anymore, go into a Hunter Orc. Then those dudes surrounding Azog with one dude in would all throw the weapons and try and kill my own dude. But yeah, which I found really, honestly, quite fun trying to figure out how to make the Reavers work. Luckily, the bosun never died in any of the games, never had any issues with Reavers going crazy. I was doing all I could. Honestly, he was almost the linchpin of the list. If he went crazy, I don't know what happens. Because obviously they go for the nearest model, but if they win priority and they just move backwards, tough, super tough.
Definitely.
Wow.
Awesome. Thanks for the little recap.
Run throughs, yeah, man. There were some incredible games that we've heard here, and it's what you got to do to get to the top of the ladder, baby. And now let's give us your overall thoughts on Masters, mate.
Masters honestly was one of the most efficiently run tournaments, and I'm hoping to get Emily and Andreas on to have a chat with us at some point about running the event and how that went. Everything ran so well on time. Players were great. Any issues were dealt with efficiently and effectively. I got a sword. I got a sting.
Let's go.
I'm gonna have to force them to ship it down to me. So that's yeah, just a fantastic tournament. All my opponents were awesome. I made some good friends along the way. Drank lots of drinks. Just incredible. And hopefully we can all get down next year. Hopefully, who knows what city it'll be in.
Anyway, so from me to Sean to the best player in bloody Australia.
Let's go.
You guys here. Stay tuned. We've got some very exciting content coming out in the next couple of weeks and months. We are trying very hard to make sure it's not just new edition, new edition, new edition. We want to make sure that the content coming to you guys is going to be good quality and something different to help improve your game. That was our one goal when we set out on our little venture to start this channel. And yeah, have a good night.
Love you.